to glorify you, Jesus. Magnify you, Lord. You're worthy of the glory, Lord.
The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Last week we concluded with the fact that when you sow according to the kingdom standard, your harvest is not a coincidence. Your harvest is according to the word and seed that you sowed. And as we're coming into this time that we're actually in, we're after Pentecost and in between the Feast of Trumpets. And what goes on during that time frame is there's a lot of sowing and reaping that happens during these times. So I guess today is a day that I'll have to go a little bit direction in as far as your feet are concerned. Because as we look in this time, in this season, when you're establishing a tree, and you know, just bear with me as I go through this, because we're in a very specific time, and as you go from getting to a place to where you know what you sowed and getting to the point that you're at a place of reaping that, some heaviness starts to set in. Because what happened is you've been so used to being bare with no leaves and no fruit that there hasn't been any weight on your branches. So once the weight starts to build up, all of the leaves and all of the fruit begins to be established and getting ready to be picked. It's not quite ready to be picked, but as it begins to get ready to get picked, it starts to get a little heavier. So there starts to be, you go from here and you start feeling like, you know, what is all of this that's on me? What is all of this pressure? What is this squeeze that's happening? What is this tug, this pull, this weigh down that's happening to me right now? And that's fruit. It's fruit. And see, the problem is, and I love you, but as you go into the perspective of what it's supposed to be like when fruit is produced, the mentality usually ends up being it's going to get easier. And it is, but not before it gets heavier. Not before it gets heavier. See, it's got to get heavy because you got to start establishing, because that seed has now pressed its way, and that I'm going to start explaining some of your pains. That seed has now pressed its way out of a branch. And as it's pressed its way out of the branch, it's now positioned itself to begin to expand. And as it starts to expand, now it's starting to fill with the juices and the nectar and all of that good stuff. And now that that starts to happen, and I know that you know this, liquid begins to change the weight of things. You take a gallon jug with nothing in it, and then you fill it full of water, that weight changes. So once that fruit starts to begin to establish its nectar, its sweetness, it starts to get a little heavier. So that's that's where your situation that you've been looking at, you're starting to see more potential out of it. And when you start to see more potential out of it, now all of a sudden expectation rises, and then when expectation rises, now weight.
Come on now.
Now the weight starts to close in. And see, this is where a lot of people start giving up, because it starts getting heavy.
Yep.
Even though you're seeing movement, even though you're seeing change, even though you're seeing adjustment, you ready to axe everything. Right before the fruit is ripe. And see, what we got to understand is, man, so what is actually going on when it seems like something should have happened by now? Because I'm seeing movement, but to me it seems like I done seen movement before. I'm even seeing more movement, but I still ain't seen the fruit yet. What is going on? I'm glad you asked, because in a lot of cases, we've sown the wrong thing from the very start. We've sown the wrong thing from the very start. Not that we've sown bad things, but the wrong things. See, that there's a difference. How many of y'all have actually had a gallon of peach juice? And it ain't really ever happened, right? But if I say a gallon of orange juice, that's a little bit easier to get your mind wrapped around. Now, both of them's an actual juice. But if I'm going after some citrus content, peaches ain't what I need a gallon of. Orange juice is what I need a gallon of. Now, peaches ain't wrong. They're not bad. But if I'm trying to get over a cold, I need the vitamin C that comes from the orange juice. So now, peaches aren't bad, but if I go after peach juice while I'm sick, I went after the wrong juice for what I'm wanting to accomplish. Because I want you to understand, see, we usually go to the, when we say wrong, we usually go bad. We start looking at it being bad. There's no good about it whatsoever. That ain't the case. That's not the case. That's why it's important to understand what's right and what's wrong for you. That's why we focused in on the ways so much last week. Because there is a way that seemeth right unto man, but the end thereof is death. So I was drinking juice, I was drinking peach juice, I don't know why I can't get over this cold. It's natural. Looking at all of these different things, it should be good. It grows from the ground. It is a seed, but it doesn't have the content that you need. So at that moment, now there's a struggle going on. Now, let me put this more down your street. I know this is the relationship I'm supposed to be in. Why are we like two bad magnets? Turned backwards. Why is it that every time I say something or she says something, somebody twists it? I know this is the job I'm supposed to be at. Why ain't I making enough money? Why is this not producing? I need to find another job. No, you don't. You got to think right about the one that you got. I need to find another relationship. No, you don't. You need to think right about the one that you got. See, the problem is, mostly everybody's been thinking wrong about what's in front of them. And see, when you start thinking wrong about what's in front of you, it starts to look like it's bad. I told you I love you. But when fruit gets heavy and the tree branches start sagging, you are now looking at an adjustment happening, but not yet eating the fruit of it. So when you start to say something to that spouse, to that one you're in a relationship with, and it starts doing this, he's saying, okay, back it up. Now, tilt it just a little bit and flip this. Now go back and try to do it. Just tilt it and see. And a lot of times, here's where we start to get into trouble. I'm tired of going to them. I'm tired of being the one to have to go do this. Shut it up, zip it, and go do what you're supposed to do. I shouldn't have to be the one to go do this time. Zip it, shut it up. They responded to me like this. They owe me an apology. Kill it, because we're talking about sowing and reaping now. We're talking about sowing and reaping now. If you want something different than what you've been getting, you're going to have to sow some different seed.
Amen. Amen. Speak, ma'am.
See, because a lot of times we've sowed based on our feelings.
Amen. Ain't good, man.
Or, watch this, what we've seen someone else do or have. So I want that. I'm going after that. Wait a minute. What is this? Yeah, that's part of that. That's a part of that situation. See, you didn't have enough information before you sowed that seed because you sowed out of what you saw.
Right.
See, because when you sow out of what you saw, watch this. All you're seeing is the end result. You're not seeing how it got there.
I tell you, right.